When Midnights first came out, the general consensus seemed to be Midnights. Indeed. Don't get me wrong, people loved the album, but given the high bar for Taylor's songwriting and the huge departure this era was sonically from Folklore and Evermore, Midnights didn't seem to be the next magnum opus we'd all been hoping for. I can only speak for myself when I say that, while I did enjoy Midnights, it wasn't my favorite Taylor Swift album. I adored the concept of reflecting on 13 sleepless nights throughout your life. Stories of self-loathing, revenge fantasies, what could have been, falling in love, and falling apart. Going back through each of her eras and digging into them with the wisdom gained from further experience, even if it means further tearing at old wounds, it was all both an insightful introspection and a dangerous rumination. Even the concept of the 3 a.m. tracks deeper into the night when you still haven't managed to fall asleep. It felt brilliant. It really drove home this vibe of past traumas gnawing at you until you face them head on. But something felt like it was missing. Previous eras usually accompanied major events in Taylor's life. Personally, I feel kinda icky with how much we even know about her personal life through the media vultures and the dehumanization of celebrities. Go watch Shan Spears' video on that, it's great. But this information does help to empathize with how she uses her songwriting to transform her experiences into art. Isn't that one of the main reasons why artists create in the first place? As a means of self-reflection and even self-therapy? Understanding these things and empathizing with the artist can help you better analyze their work, provided you're not falling into parasocial delusions of standing them to the point of putting them on a pedestal and white knighting them at every turn. If you know, you know. I may or may not be side-eyeing some of you in the audience tonight.
Oh my god. I thought this was a classy party.
I do it out of love, I'm concerned. But that was perhaps what felt a bit off about Midnights, at least when it first released. As far as we knew, Taylor had been in a loving, committed relationship with actor and professional London boy Joe Alwyn, and presumably wrote up to 4 albums either about their relationship or referencing it. They had even written several songs together on Folklore and Evermore, Champagne Problems, Exile, Coney Island, and the title track Evermore. For these, Joe used the pen name William Bowery, assumedly for privacy, which will be relevant later. See, to understand all this, we need to go back to the terrible, no good time of 2016, aka when some fuckwit read the Necronomicon and opened the floodgates of hell, causing the world to fall into a downward spiral that we are still not out of. Whoever you are, I hope a deadite got you. I won't harp on it for too long, but basically, the entire world fucking hated Taylor Swift and called her a snake. And some other choice words. And she went, fuck all y'all, I am removing myself from this narrative, and then went into hiding for the whole year.
Dead, get it? No more, gone, so shut up! Don't say a word!
One of the reasons why Taylor got dogpiled, which is relevant to today's video, is the fact that she dated like a normal person. She's always written candidly about her relationships. She never actually name drops any of her partners, except for human trash can John Mayer, and even then, she used a clever way to get out of it. Instead, choosing to speak about them through the stories she tells in her songs, through context clues. The only reason that we're able to know who she's talking about is because of how publicized most of her relationships have always been. And oh boy, the slut-shaming that ensued. Firstly, she was often criticized for the number of men she dated, and how quickly it seems she moved between relationships. Which, is that your business, though? Yes, it's important to take time after a breakup to heal and reflect, but also, you never know what someone else is thinking or dealing with, nor how they're handling a situation, especially when it's a celebrity that you have never, nor will ever, meet and know on a personal level. And secondly, it's also just none of your business. Like, literally just not. Fuck off, get a hobby. Like, try underwater basket weaving, please. And thirdly, art is a form of self-expression, and that naturally means that your experiences are going to become the basis of your work, or will at least inform how you go about it. Most artists discuss love because it is considered to be the most universal human emotion. Love songs tend to be the breakout hits for a good reason, and so it's kind of odd to single out Taylor for writing about her lovers and exes when everyone else does it too. The only reason I can think of her being singled out is because of the high levels of clarity and sincerity in her storytelling. I guess the lesson is, Taylor, stop being a good writer. Stop it. Stop it right now. Enter Reputation, a superficially dark and edgy EDM album all about her comeback, where she usurps the throne of the Snake Queen and declares war on all who have wronged her.
Good for her.
It's leaning into a caricature created for her by the media and public, the same way she leaned into the image of the man-obsessed Machiavellian lunatic in Blank Space. And of course, that facade melts away as the album continues, revealing Reputation to actually be an album about the love she found during her exile, the one with Joe. It is one of my favorite albums from her. A story about both reclaiming your power and, in a way, stepping into it for the first time. It was very much a rebirth for Taylor, letting go of this need to be loved and validated by the masses, and instead focusing on herself and her own happiness. The second half of the album is all about the unexpected, enthralling, and delicate relationship she forged with Joe, ultimately wanting to keep it out of the public eye as much as she could. Lover followed immediately after, ditching Reputation's darker mood and aesthetic, and switching it out for the purple-pink, cotton candy skies with a more upbeat and domestic feeling. It's definitely one of the more underrated albums in her discography, and put quite simply, it's Taylor returning to form and gushing about how this cute London boy showed her that love is gold like daylight. Y'all need to give Lover her flowers right now. Right now, or I will hurt you. I will do harm to you. Folklore and Evermore, at least to me, are basically the same era. Indie folk records purportedly, why is this word so hard to say? About fictional stories and characters. We're keeping that in, it's on brand. As opposed to the rest of Taylor's autobiographical catalog. And yes, this is my favorite era from her. Y'all know me. I made a long-ass video about Folklore, and I was making one on Evermore, but then life happened. I need to get back to that, but Created and released in 2020 in the peak of the pandemic, these albums deal a lot with grief, trauma, love, regrets, innocence, the whole range of human emotion. And though these stories are supposedly fictional, it's worth remembering that all fiction is inspired by at least a fragment of the creator's real-world experiences. All of these eras form what I like to call the Daylight Saga. Yes, I did come up with that as I was writing the script, and I'm still sticking with it even as I'm recording. They're about the period of time following Taylor's return that she spent with Joe Alwyn, focused on this one private, seemingly perfect relationship. Taylor had found her power, she had found her man, and now she could move on to bigger and better things, stretching out this happy ending into infinity. But then, Midnights happened. Midnights, as we know it now, ends the Daylight Saga, which aesthetically I find fitting as fuck. Fun bit of trivia, Lover originally was going to be called Daylight, so it would have been Daylight and then Midnights, both as albums and polar opposites of each other. Just let that ruminate in your soul. But it does admittedly feel a bit odd having the last few albums be so wise, content, and introspective, and then going to this one which feels so melancholic. It's not outright depressing or dark, but there's this twinge of sadness and defeat running through all of the tracks on Midnights, even the superficially happier ones. Most of that is thanks to the hazy, almost dreamy use of synths and voice production, which fits the vibe of A Sleepless Night of rumination. But there's also a layer of sadness buried in the lyrics. The vibe can often give, I'm so content in what I have, but then you peel the layer back and you go, are you though? My first thought was Lavender Haze, staring at the ceiling with you don't ever say too much and really read into my melancholia. Like when you think about that, it's like, wow, this dude is like really just not helping you work through your emotions like at all. He's not even noticing that you're all fucked up and you're just like, this is fine. I'm in a lavender haze. It's fine. I'm fine. The standard album ends with Mastermind, which feels a bit off as a happy ending to this story of reflecting on your past wounds to trace how you got to where you are now. It is admitting to this deep desire to be loved that goes all the way back to childhood, and therefore learning to plot and scheme so as to worm your way into people's hearts, to make them love you and make it seem effortless. Fellow chronic and or recovering people pleasers, I know you feel attacked and or seen. and that's the point. Mastermind wants you to feel like the story is over. The narrator has crafted this perfect story for themselves, and you've bought into it, and so have they. Things are as they should be. Except they're not. The true ending comes on the 3 a.m. edition later into the night when the mask of Mastermind is removed, revealing the shambling, lonely, conflicted face of Dear Reader. Dear Reader is absolutely one of my favorite songs off of the album, and from Taylor in general. It's, as the name suggests, framed as the narrator giving the listener bits of advice. The only thing is some of that advice is kind of terrible, and the narrator admits that. The chorus repeats, "Never take advice from someone who's fallen apart." And the full breakdown in the bridge reveals that the narrator has been plagued by things in their life going out of control, things that are beyond their control. They keep giving advice that they know that they are not taking or following themselves, almost in some desperate bid to remain in control of the narrative that they know is not true. You should find another guiding light, but I shine so bright. The 3 a.m. edition was not my favorite thing at first, but it grew on me to the point I can't listen to the standard edition by itself. I just can't do it. For a long while, I couldn't really put my finger on why Dear Reader felt like the true ending to Midnight's. But then, April came, and she took all of our kneecaps in one single swift swing. To say that the confusion as to why Taylor and Joe had broken up sent Swifties into a collective spiral of parasocial heartbreak would be an understatement. As a fandom, we got invested as fuck into this relationship that we had no part in. And to break that down, you really have to work on an individual level for every person, and we ain't got time for that mess. But we did definitely buy into this narrative of Taylor getting her happy ending after enduring horrible circumstances, and by extension, perhaps believed in this narrative for ourselves. And perhaps that's why it felt so awful to have that belief torn away from us, to have that notion of a secure, happy ending, not a romanticized fairy tale that she had spun from earlier eras, but a more grounded, mature, domestic one, taken away. Now again, it's none of our fucking business what these two grown-ass people went through, so I'm just gonna do my best to focus on this from a music and storytelling level. Please leave these people the fuck alone. Seriously, like, if you're one of those bitches who's, like, actually going to Cornelia Street leaving flowers, or, like, you're harassing Joe Alwyn, we don't claim you. I don't claim you. I don't fucking claim you. Mother would be disappointed. Anyhow, to analyze all this from a storytelling perspective, we need 2 Midnight songs in particular. Hits Different, which only recently came to streaming on the Till Dawn edition, and the CD exclusive Midnight's Vault track, You're Losing Me. Both of these are broken down by Emily and Bonnie from Chats and Reacts, perhaps the most well-known and professional Swifties on the damn internet. Highly recommend their breakdowns in general, as they do a wonderful job dissecting Taylor's songwriting and lyric choices. And they're also fun as hell to listen to. And they're also the reason that Superior and Illegal have corrupted my lexicon, so I kind of have to show my gratitude here. Their reactions are simply illegal. But it's with these songs that the entire Midnight's era comes into clearer focus. Hits Different is possibly one of the most upbeat, confident breakup songs I have ever heard. This shit is such a sad bop that I am alarmed with how perfectly tailored it is to me. And yes, I did mean that pun. Though the narrator is used to loves burning out and failing, then jumping to the next relationship, this time is different. It's harder for them to recover from this heartbreak, to the point where it really feels like love is a fucking lie. Cause if it wasn't real with you, then how can it be real with anyone? You're Losing Me, meanwhile, isn't exactly a breakup song. It's in the final stage of the relationship, where the narrator realizes things are not working anymore, and the end is in sight. It's inescapable. It is a painful admission to all of the problems festering within the relationship that have given rise to deep, unrelenting resentment. And now Kesha's resentment is playing in my head, goddammit. Oh, fucking sad bitch hours central. It's begging to be seen by a partner who just has not been showing up for you or choosing you for a long time, with a somber acknowledgement of how your heart no longer starts for them. Any kind of love you had for them is now buried under all of that resentment. The narrator admits in Dear Reader that they prefer hiding in plain sight and That holds true for this entire era's story. All along, Midnight's was the slow realization that the happy ending you thought you had secured actually was never what you thought it was, and is now crumbling quickly beneath your feet. In your attempt to salvage it, you dig through your past to uncover where you've gone wrong in previous relationships, hoping to find a clue as to what's going wrong in the present. But the thing is, as much as you hope you will find a way to save it, you're more than likely going to find answers you don't like. And that's the reason why evolving as a person fucking sucks. Doing the work involves facing the darkest parts of yourself in brutal honesty, which can feel absolutely humiliating at best and soul-shattering at worst. It can feel like you're destroying your own world as you move the bricks one at a time, waiting for the house you built to crash down around your ears, just to get the pain over with. In the words of the wise SZA, Solana be praised, trying to find deeper meaning in nonsense, trying to grow without hating the process. Can you tell that all the sad bitch albums dominated me the last couple years? Midnight's, SOS, Gag Order. Gag Order is a good recent one. Endless Summer Vacation. Fuck. That's the only word for it, fuck. Admitting that a long-term relationship is not working anymore is not easy. There's a level of comfort and security in it, even if it's miserable, and the thought of leaving it is terrifying, especially when the entire world is invested in it, and there's plenty of people waiting to go. I knew she'd go back to going through men like a train. I can't believe another woman said that. Oh my god, women hate women. Oh my god, I hate it here. Hardly anyone is excited at leaping into the unknown, especially when what they have created has served as a decently functioning bastion for so long. But much of this is born of the sunk cost fallacy, a belief that because you've spent so long with something or someone, or in a particular situation, it's better to stick it out to the bitter end than to walk away. Except we all know sometimes walking out is the one thing that will find you the right thing. You'll also need to give Evermore her flowers. Do it. Do it now. You're not leaving this room until you praise Evermore. It can feel deafening to admit that the happy ending you thought you had reached was not all that you thought it was. To think you were so close to finally reaching the summit, only to realize you've still got a long ways to go, and a long way to fall. You feel like a fool, like a charlatan, like the imposter that your demons whispered that you were all along. But you are none of those things. You're just a person who's doing their best, and is trying to navigate a chaotic world the best they can with a broken compass and a torn up, probably outdated map. And guess what, bitch? We're all lost out here. None of us know what we're fucking doing. None of us. If someone says they know what they're doing, they're fucking lying to you. And they're lying to themselves. Even if it feels like your world is ending, it's not. Taylor mentions in the Long Pond documentary about how, at times, it has felt like her life methodically came undone, and she couldn't stop it no matter how hard she tried. But in a way, it was needed to push her into a new direction so she could grow and become the person she needed to be. Or at the very least, she took the horrible things that she went through and used them to make herself stronger. And in a way, that's kind of what Midnight's is all about. It is taking all of these traumas, these things that have haunted you all of your life, and saying, I survived all of that. I'm gonna survive this one too. This reminds me of a comment I saw under one of Chats and Reacts videos about Lover. Like, you know that quote in Daylight where she's like, I don't want to be defined by the things that haunt me in the middle of the night? Midnight's is taking those things that haunt you in stride and learning from them. And I find that fucking beautiful. I think that shows so much growth. Oh my actual god. Someone write a thesis on this, please. I would, but I'm tired, bitch. In a way, it's even made me appreciate You're on Your Own Kid a lot more. Though the relationship informing the Daylight saga is often credited as having saved Taylor, she in fact saved herself, and that relationship was more of a catalyst. Or maybe inciting incident? At the very least, it was a nice bonus for a time. The point is, even if you feel like you are utterly alone, you aren't. You always have the power to redefine your relationship with yourself. You decide what you are deserving of. And to, again, quote the goddess Solana, praise be to her, what demons you digest. I am a Gone Girl, bitch, okay? I'm a Gone Girl stan. As you do the work, sometimes you discover that you have been the anti-hero all along, or even the villain. Maybe you were so caught up in the lavender haze, you didn't think to even question whether or not your fantasy lined up with reality. Maybe you've lost the thread guiding you through the labyrinth, and now you sit there in shock, wondering how you will ever be found again. But whatever the case, wherever you have been, you are still carrying every version of yourself with you. You are still able to be there for yourself when no one else can be. And when you choose yourself, and you face up to the things that have been haunting you, you might even find that you're able to drift off to a peaceful sleep and deal with this shit in the fucking morning. The bed might feel a bit colder now. Maybe you don't have someone else to comfort you or to cuddle with or to envision a future with, but you do still have yourself. And maybe that's all you ever needed. Anyway, I hope y'all enjoyed that. Ooh, girl, I've been wanting to record this for a while. I don't know if y'all have heard a difference, but I got myself a new little boom arm, like a mic stand. My microphone is just like hanging here, suspended in midair. And I am floored with the quality of it. I hope y'all enjoyed. Anyhow, subscribe, ring the bell for notifications, YouTube hates creators, yada, yada, yada. If you would like to support me, consider pledging on Patreon, giving a donation via the thanks button below, checking out my book in the description below, Urban Fantasy, Gay Wizards. Is there anything else? No, there is not. Okay, goodbye. I'm gonna go cry to You're Losing Me Again.